And we are live. What is going on, guys? We are back for another live episode of the Wholesaling Mastermind podcast, guys. And I am super excited to say I've got the man, the myth, the legend, the Harvard grad, the Elon Musk of the real estate space out here with me today, Robert Wensley. How is it going, my brother?
What's up, brother? Super happy to be on here. Thanks for inviting me on your show. I really appreciate it. I'm a big fan of all the content you've been putting out, all these incredible free tips and reviews and everything. I remember last year when I saw your channel, you were like just getting started, maybe 1,000 subscribers. And what are you up to now?
I think it's close to 19,000, like 18 and some change. I think we are at right now.
Damn, you were smoking me. I got to take some lessons from you on content. Well, congratulations on your success. And thank you so much for having me on the show. We're going to drop some bombs today. We're going to bring the fire. Let's break the internet.
Let's go. Let's go. Hey, man, I'm looking forward to it. So, Robert, for the people out there that may not know who you are, why don't you go ahead and just introduce yourself to the community?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Robert Wensley. I'm the CEO of InvestorLift. We are the biggest off-market real estate platform in the world, generating over $1 billion in offers for wholesalers just like you across the country. Started the company about 3 or so years ago. It was just something that I built for my friends to help us sell our deals. And our businesses started taking off. We started hitting record numbers. I started becoming known as the guy that could scale wholesaling companies past $1 million a month, because I'd done it twice past $1 million and twice past $2 million a month. And the real secret sauce behind what we're doing was the software and the tech that we're doing, right? Because wholesaling is really a marketing tech and sales game. So a couple of years ago, I opened it up and it went viral. I didn't know how many people actually needed it, but as soon as I opened it up, it just went absolutely viral. And now almost every single major wholesaling company across America is using InvestorLift on the back end to sell their deals faster and sell them at much higher prices.
Nice. So, Robert, tell me this then, like for people that may not have tried InvestorLift yet, like, I've had it for quite some time. I'm loving it. I'm curious, like, what would you say are like, let's say the top 3 things that make InvestorLift different from your competitors out there?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. So I think if you look at the way that people wholesale deals traditionally, like on the dispo side of things, one of the main things you got to do is, first of all, you got to find buyers, right? So before InvestorLift, the way that we'd find buyers, like really old school was like you would go on Facebook and Craigslist and you go out to the local RIA and your buyer's list would be in your cell phone. And when you had a buyer, like if you had a deal to sell, you literally get in your cell phone and like you would like use the company field to like hack it a little bit and be like buys in like Fairfax County and like do stuff like that to kind of like hack a system together. And then what happened is then we started getting data companies like prompt stream companies like that would start giving us lists of like cash buyers, right? But just because they're cash buyer doesn't necessarily mean they're a real estate investor. But like Gen 2 was like we would buy lists from these companies and like skip trace them and do all these different things to try to find these buyers. But it was like really inefficient. A lot of those tools were built for acquisitions, not necessarily for dispositions. So the old school way of doing it, like building one buyer at a time, pulling lists, skip tracing, texting and calling, building them one at a time. What we did at InvestorLift, first of all, was like find a much more efficient way for you to build your buyers list or access pre-built buyers lists of the top buyers in the country that are already pre-vetted and have flips history linked up and things like that. So that's number one, is just building the buyers list much quicker. Number 2 is going to be communicating with those buyers. So a lot of people right now, if they build their list, they'll use a tool like MailChimp, right? For example, to go email blast their list. And if you're using a tool like that, you're probably dealing with like 20% open rates, something like that. That's pretty typical. We basically built the most powerful email system in the world and do all these tricks on the back end to make sure that when you do run your marketing campaigns, they're super, super efficient. So we have emailing and text both built in. Emailing, we're rocking 65% plus open rates.
Sheesh.
And
Yeah.
sending at peak, we've been sending on a peak month, we'll send about 70 million emails. So 70 million emails. You think about, I'm from Canada originally. We got 35 million people in my country. That's like emailing all of Canada twice per month.
Right.
Massive volume. We're the best in the world at email. So if you think about it, if you go from like 20% open rate up to 65, 70% open rate, the impact that has on your business, like you're literally getting your deal in front of way, way more buyers. And then with texting is built right in. You don't have to do any setup or anything. It's 100% TCPA compliant. You don't have to worry about buyers suing you. All these buyers have already opted in through us for text messaging. You can piggyback off of that. So your communications with your buyers are going to be much more efficient. And then the final thing is it just saves you a ton of time. Like I built the tool for myself to help scale my teams past $1 million a month and even past $2 million a month. And there's a lot of inefficiencies in the process. We basically stripped away everything. Like there's this famous quote that like genius is when you've removed everything and there's nothing left to be removed. So what we tried to do is just remove everything that was unnecessary in the dispo process. Like I'd go into teams, they'd have 100 different data points in their CRM, 100 different fields that they were using just on dispo. I'm like, let's just streamline this. Let's build it into the system so all this stuff is happening automatically. So just the amount of time it's going to save you is incredible. So those are probably three of the different reasons why everyone pretty much goes for InvestorLift. There are some companies that are trying to like copy a little bit of what we're doing because we're expensive, right? We're premium products. So there's some companies that have come in and tried to like, create like $150 a month kind of dispo solution. And my advice is to go try them. You're probably going to get what you pay for. Most people will try those out and then they'll come to us right after.
Yeah. Many of those companies actually have reached out to me personally to get me to talk about them and things of that nature or whatever. But I'll be 100% transparent and honest. Like there's nothing quite like InvestorLift out there that gets the job done at that type of capacity. Let's just put it like that. So, but yeah, speaking of that though, I appreciate those three kind of differentiators. Now I know that like I believe it was in December of 2021 when you had that interview with Steve Trang. I think at that point you mentioned that you all had like 2.5 million buyers at the end of 2021. I'm curious, like, what does like the buyers list, like on the highest level of InvestorLift, look like now?
Yeah, good question. It's a great question because yesterday we just broke a new record and we now officially have 4.6 million. Yesterday we just broke 4.6 million buyers registered in the database. And that's like pretty much every real estate investor in America. Almost every single real estate investor in America we have in our databases. If someone becomes a real estate investor and they're new to the game, probably give it about 2 or 3 months after they sell their first flip or get their first buy and hold before we're going to catch that buyer and we're going to get them in our database. So we basically built profiles for every single investor across America in the single family space. And now we're branching into like multifamily, commercial, and land. That'll be a big push next year is having different buyer segments, because the buyers that buy like a $50 million apartment building are different than single family. And interesting enough, they're coming on. We're actually selling multifamily, commercial, and land. But we've kind of dominated single family, and then we'll be moving into some of those other segments next year.
Yeah, that's massive right there. So you all have basically almost doubled the buyers list like over the last, like year and a half, 2 years, something like that. That's pretty massive. Yeah, almost 2 years now. You all have basically doubled the buyers list. Very, very impressive. So, but speaking of that though, right? So you all have been getting like all of these new buyers inside of the system. I'm curious, like how many users do you all actually have inside of InvestorLift? Like what's that like looking like or whatever for you all? Very curious.
Yeah, good question. A lot of people think that we have like hundreds of thousands of wholesalers. We don't. We actually right now we're working with about 700 top wholesalers, right? Like the biggest guys in the country. And then those combined, all users under those 700 companies is about 8,000 users. So on the wholesaling side of companies, users providing deals, we got about 8,000. And then on the buyer's side, people buying that inventory, we got 4.6 million.
Nice. Okay, so it's not like some crazy outrageous number, because I get that same sense that a lot of people think that you all just scooped up the entire industry because they'll get several different emails and stuff like that or whatever. They're like, man, these guys are just taking over. That's what it kind of looks like.
Yeah, and that's about to happen because what I wanted to do is provide like the highest level product, the highest level service first. Like a lot of people, they make the mistake of, you'll see the other guys that are trying to copy us. They usually last about 6 months before they're out of the game. And what they do is they go after the low end of the market, right? They go after the newbies because there's so many more newbies, right? 99% of wholesalers have never actually done a deal. They call themselves wholesalers. They sign up for all these products and services, but they've never actually done a deal.
Facts.
We're a dispo platform, so you got to have a deal before you need to buy InvestorLift, right? So we're only dealing with the top 1%. And then of that top 1%, we've been dealing with the top 5%, maybe of that. The guys, like initially when we launched, we wouldn't even let you buy unless you're doing at least $250,000 a month in assignment fees.
Sheesh.
Right? And the reason for that is I saw people go downstream and they all failed. They failed because they weren't making enough money to sustain like customer support and development, all these things. So when we first started selling InvestorLift, it was $120,000 a year plus 4% of your assignment fees earned.
Sheesh.
That was the first year on InvestorLift. What's funny is that version actually was probably less powerful than what you can get today on a like basic plan for 6,000.
Right.
I was at a conference with one of our initial like 12 users. One of these guys that came on when it was 10,000 a month plus 4% of assignment fees. And like someone was like, oh man, like $6,000, like that's really expensive. He's like, bro, you have no idea. When I came on, I had a fraction of what you get on the entry level plan. And I was paying $120,000 a year. And they did that because like it allowed them to scale. Like there wasn't something out there that allowed them to scale. So we've been really focusing on the top end, but we have a big announcement that's coming at Wholesaling Live here in 2 days. That is going to make InvestorLift a lot more accessible for every single wholesaler. Okay, we weren't ready to do that yet the first 3 years, but now we're finally like, okay, we can handle it. We can handle making this accessible for everyone.
Oh, snaps. Oh man, y'all better get ready, man. Hey, like that sounds like that's going to be a major announcement coming up here soon. So that's very interesting. It's like you kind of answered like another question that I wanted to ask you, like who would be like the ideal user of InvestorLift, but it sounds like you all are going to be like kind of opening it up to even more people, if you will.
Yeah, and like the reason why we have another reason why we focus on the high end is if you look at the other deal platforms that have tried to do what we're doing, we're the first ones to succeed. Every single other one failed. And the reason why they failed is because most wholesalers don't know how to underwrite deals. Buyers do, because buyers are putting their money on the line. Right. So if you got if you open up your marketplace and you just let everyone post for free and you don't charge anything, then what happens, there's no barrier to entry there for the wholesalers, and you flood your marketplace with noobs that post junk deals that are $50,000 over the Zestimate and shit like that. And then what happens is then you lose the buyers. If you lose the buyers, then no one can sell anything. You just got a bunch of noob wholesalers posting their deals and no buyers are actually buying any of the stuff. So this year we broke $1 billion a month in offers generated through the system. That's through the system. But also there's stuff selling over the phone. So we estimate that the real number is north of $3 billion a month right now. It's more than, we're selling more deals per month than all of the multi-billion-dollar iBuyers combined. And the reason why we're able to do that is because the buyers know that we have the real deals. Okay.
Right. So you basically honed in on the like the best wholesalers out there to come up with the best deals. So then the buyers don't leave the platform because they know that there's quality deals there.
Exactly. And when is this airing, by the way? If this is airing after my announcement, I can just tell you what it is that we're announcing. What's the scheduled date for this?
Man, that's a great question. I mean, it'll probably be like it'll be a little bit afterwards. It'll be after.
Okay. All right. Well, if you're
Yeah.
watching this, then probably means we already announced it. So if you're watching this, we probably already opened up freemium.
Sheesh, InvestorLift Freemium. All right, guys, a real quick pause in the content. Robert is going to talk about their new freemium feature a few times throughout this podcast. However, as of the recording of this, it has not officially launched yet. Okay, so just be on the lookout for it. It will be launching at some point. They just haven't officially launched it yet. So just be on the lookout. Just wanted y'all to know, so you're not like, where the heck is the freemium? I'm ready to get the freemium now. So anyway, just wanted y'all to know that. Just be aware that it will be coming out soon. It just has not quite launched. Let's just get right back on into the content. Jesus
Yes.
Christ.
Which for the first time will allow anyone to come on and post deals on InvestorLift.
Wow. That's
now
deep.
What we had to do to be able to do that is we needed to create algorithms, hotness algorithms, to allow the hottest deals to rise to the top of InvestorLift and junk deals to fall down to the bottom. Because if you look at the other deal marketplaces, what you'll notice is like when you go into the area, it's just whatever the newest deal is posted goes to the top of the list, right? And if I'm a buyer, like I remember back in the day, I would go on like My House Deals and things like that, and you go on, you're looking for deals, and it's literally 2 hours of underwriting garbage before you find one deal that maybe makes a little bit of sense. That's such a waste of time for buyers, and buyers' time is so valuable. So what we did is we're like, let's just crowdsource the wisdom of the crowds. Buyers know what a good deal is, and when they see a good deal, they're going to interact with it more, right? So if you go on InvestorLift today, just rolled this out maybe a month or so ago, you'll see if you zoom into any area, it'll default to the hottest deals first, right? So just the best deals are going to show up at the very top of the list for the buyers, and then if there's junk deals that like don't make sense, they're not going to get a lot of buyer engagement, so they're not going to get a lot of inquiries and address requests and offers, so those will end up falling down to the bottom. So what that allows us to do is then open it up for free. We're like, hey, you haven't opened up for free because you just want to like make tons of money from everyone. I'm like, no, actually, the reason why I haven't opened for free is because I don't want people posting garbage. That's the real reason, right? But now we've kind of solved that with these new hotness algorithms, and then that will allow anyone to come on and post for free. But it's going to be like Instagram. You know, like if you go on Instagram and you post some content that's not that entertaining or doesn't add a lot of value to your audience, what the Instagram algorithm is going to do is it's going to show it to maybe about 5% of your friends first and see how they engage with it. Do they watch? What's their average watch time? Do they like it? Do they drop comments on it? Is there positive engagements? And if there's a good level of positive engagements, then it'll show it to the next 5% of your friends list, and then the next 5%, and the next 5%, until eventually it'll rip through all of your followers and show it to all of them if it's very valuable. And then it'll even go beyond your followers. It's like, wow, this person's followers really like this content. Super high engagement. That shows us it's valuable. Now let's go beyond their followers and go show it to other followers. The same kind of thing we're building right now on the back end of InvestorLift. So when you post a deal on InvestorLift on freemium, we're going to allow you to bring in your buyers and send it to your buyers. Okay. But then the future will be, we're going to be algorithmically auditioning your deal. And like when you send it to your buyers, we're going to see what is the level of engagement. Is this a good deal? And if it is a good deal, then we'll start pushing it for you and start driving more and more buyers here. So that's going to be the future of InvestorLift. It's going to be free for everyone to come on and post. But if you post garbage, you're not going to get traction. Your deal is going to be down at the bottom. But if you do come on and you have a great deal, you'll be able to come on for free, post your deal for free at no cost, and it'll start climbing the ranks on InvestorLift.
Jesus Christ. Well, man, hey, look, like hopefully y'all heard it here first, man. I hope so. That is major. Make sure that y'all check it out down below, man. Use the link that y'all see down below and actually check out InvestorLift for yourself. Chances are by the time that you're actually watching this video, they've already unleashed freemium on the community, guys. This is going to be a major game changer. I can tell y'all that right now. If y'all have never used it, you might as well take the opportunity now to go ahead and jump in, because I can only imagine like how many more deals people are going to be able to sell with InvestorLift going onto that freemium mode, because it's already become like the biggest off market MLS. Basically, this the off market MLS.
Yeah, absolutely.
Interesting. Oh man, hey, I'm super excited there, man. I'm super excited.
Yeah.
So my next question there, Robert, that's very, very exciting. It got me like really pumped up now. But so this kind of leads right into my next question though. So, you know, I hear rumors all the time, like literally basically since I've got into wholesaling, I've heard a common saying that wholesaling is saturated. What say you to people that says that wholesaling is saturated?
It was. Okay. So last year, it was too easy to make a killing wholesaling, right? So the guys that were making a killing, they're like, hey, beyond wholesaling, let me go make some money doing content and doing coaching. Because there was like this gold rush. And they're like, hey, let's sell picks and shovels to the miners, right? Like,
Right.
you know, like, so, and that was because the interest rates were so low. We just pumped the economy with so much freaking money. And like, there was 1 month on InvestorLift where the average purchase price from a buyer was over 100% of ARV. No joke.
Jesus
Like that's
Christ.
how crazy the hedge funds went last year, especially on InvestorLift. They were buying billions of dollars of deals on InvestorLift. So that was not sustainable. But there's a lot of guys that came in last year, and they came in when it was easier than ever before to become a real estate wholesaler. Tens of thousands of them came in the game last year. Q4 last year hit. They started getting in big trouble because the hedge funds were out. There's no longer stupid money, and the only thing that was left was the smart money.
Right.
By January of this year, investor transactions as a percentage of total home sales in America was at its lowest point in the history of the United States, other than during the COVID-19 lockdowns. Okay, so what happened to wholesalers? Wholesalers got hammered. They got absolutely hammered. So the only guys that could survive were the guys that had been doing it before it was so easy. The guys that really had their marketing dialed in, really had their sales processes dialed in, really had all their tech and everything really dialed in. And what happened is that cleared out. My estimation, I think about 60% of the wholesalers are gone. Okay. The reason why I think it's about 60% is I'm friends with a lot of other tech founders, okay, in this space. And most of them told me that they lost 60 to 90% of their user base between November and March. Now, we were a little bit immune to this because we're only dealing with people that already have deals, and most of our client base are these really big companies, right? So like it didn't hit us as hard, but you know where it did hit us? It hit us on the beginner plan. On our beginner plan, we probably lost half of our beginners. So I think about 60% of wholesalers are out of the business in Q4 and Q1. And I think that that's a good thing, okay? Because it was too easy. It was too saturated. There's too many people wholesaling deals that didn't know what the hell they were doing. And those were the ones that were causing all the problems and giving wholesalers a bad name, okay? So I'm glad that they're gone, right? Only the best ones, the guys that were running their businesses correctly, were the ones that can actually survive. And now what's happening is those guys are being rewarded for running their businesses right. And now they're picking up all that market share. So on the high end, a lot of our big guys are having some of the biggest months that they've ever had. People have been having months this year that are actually even bigger than months last year when we had all the stupid money at play. Okay, it's just because they're picking up more market share, right? Now, what's also going on is the gap between the beginner and the professional is getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, right? This is an industry in its infancy and is just starting to mature. It used to be that the gap between a guy that was trying to get his first deal and a guy that's doing 20 deals a month wasn't that big, right? It was more like, you know, this guy just knew how to comp deals better and had more connections in his cell phone, right, than the guy that's just starting his first deal. If you wanted to learn, you'd like ride around in a truck with one of these guys and they would take you, you know, driving for dollars, and like the gap was not that big, right? And then in any industry, as soon as you get data and technology in place, what happens is that gap starts widening. the barrier to entry to become proficient and get market share in that industry starts widening. So now if you look at the top wholesaling companies, their marketing, their sales, and their tech is so dialed in that if you're just coming in without a lot of experience, it's literally 10 times harder to compete against them than it was just 2 years ago. And 2 years from now, it'll be even 10 times more difficult again. So I think the future of real estate wholesaling is going to be, there's going to be much fewer wholesaling companies, but the ones that do survive are going to be the ones that have the best marketing, the best sales, and the best technology. And they're going to be doing much bigger numbers than we've ever seen before. When I first got started wholesaling, it was like really frowned upon. People were like, that's like for the noobs that don't understand construction. It's for the guys that don't have access to private capital. Like that's for like the absolute noobs. We make twice as much money, 3 times as much money per deal. Like you just wholesale if you're broke, you have no credit, and you have no education. That was kind of the stereotype on wholesaling. And then in I think it was 2017, we took the first company past $1 million a month in assignment fees earned, and all of a sudden people started getting really interested. And then we did it again and did it again and did it again, and we created this new era of mega wholesaling, where people are like, "Shit, you're making way more money wholesaling with a way smaller team with way less risk than I am on this mega freaking house flipping business."
Right.
Where I got hundreds of contractors and millions of dollars out on the street, and at any point of time I could lose everything. This business seems way sexier. So all of a sudden, wholesaling became really interesting. And you know what happened over the last few years? All those mega flippers transitioned over to mega wholesalers.
Mm-hmm.
And now the next stage is going to be, I think in the next 3 years, we're going to see the first $100 million a year wholesaler. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to be someone on InvestorLift. I have an idea. There's a few people I'm thinking might hit it.
Whoa.
Because the gap, I remember when we were scaling up these companies, it's 10 times harder to go from 100K to $1 million. 10 times harder. Like if you can get to 100K, you figured out the business, and all we got to do is more people, more marketing, get that balance going, get that flywheel going, increase marketing a little bit, hire a little bit more people, increase marketing a little bit, hire a little bit more people. And we just like boom, 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 boom until we're at $1 million. It's the same thing, though, right? It's the same thing. I think it's going to be the same thing going from $1 million a month to 10 million a month. We've already figured out the business, we already got the systems, the tech, and everything dialed in.
Right.
You just got to go do that. Boom, 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 boom. That's all it is. So it's literally going to be, it's going to be fairly easy for someone to be the first guy to hit 100 million. I think we're going to see it in the next 3 years.
Man, that's very, very interesting, man. It is becoming like a, like the big boys in the wholesaling space, if you will. Like you said, like that spread is starting to get bigger and bigger in terms of like that skill gap, if you will, between the people that's kind of newbies and then the big boys. And, it's become such a major industry with, help from people like you guys over at InvestorLift with the tech is just making the situation a lot easier. I agree. It probably will be somebody that uses InvestorLift if and when that $100 million company does exist out here. Seriously.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
There's a really interesting webinar, by the way. Not webinar. It's Wolf of Wall Street guy, Jordan Belfort. Belfort, he's interviewing Jamil Damji, the guy that does like astro flipping and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And he asked him, he's like, what is going on with this industry? Like, why is there not a publicly traded wholesaling company? Like, why isn't there not a publicly traded flipping company? And there wasn't an answer there. And I think the answer to that is it's just the industry is in its infancy, and people are running their companies like a mom and pop shop, right? They're stuck in that mom and pop shop mentality where they're trying to do everything. I'm going to flip, and I'm going to take stuff down. I'm going to do innovations. I'm going to do wholesale, and I'm also learning commercial. And like, you're never going to take a company public doing shit like that. You got to have a streamlined process. You got to run like McDonald's. Pick one thing, do that thing better than anyone else in the world, and then just scale that one thing. And then you will see a publicly traded, $100 million a year wholesaling company eventually. but
You
it
consider that
hasn't
weak
happened
soon?
yet because it's just like it's not straight. The industry is too young, but it's almost there. It's almost there.
Right. So you say that you think that you'll see that within like the next few years, where we may have a publicly traded $100 million wholesaling company coming up here soon.
Yeah, I think it's inevitable because we're talking some big game here now. Okay, look at the other big tech companies in the real estate space like Zillow, Redfin, Trulia. Okay, they are all competing in what we call a red water market. Okay, where they're all servicing their realtor. They're all a platform for posting deals to realtors. They all went after the realtor segment.
Right.
Okay, but I got an undergrad degree from Harvard, so I know a thing or two about economics. And one of the things that they'll teach you in economics in your first year is something called the law of perfect competition. If you're in a market and you're competing against someone and that product, like you don't have a defensible competitive advantage against that person, against that other market player, then what will happen is you'll start competing on price. And there'll be a pricing war that happens until you guys eventually reach net zero profits. It's a law in economics. It's a law in business. Just like gravity, if I drop my phone, it's going to hit the table. It's a law. It happens. And you're seeing it happening on these other real estate tech companies, right? They're fighting for market share, and they don't have a defensible competitive advantage. Zillow has the Zestimate. They've done a lot of branding around that, but it's like Redfin's got their estimate. Like they're all like there's not a defensible competitive advantage there. Now the CEOs of these companies, they're Ivy League MBAs. They know that. They know that, so they know that the future of their industry looks like the future of the airlines. So airlines is another example of the law of perfect competition coming into play. If you look at how much the airlines make on a ticket, it's less than $2 per seat because it's basically a commodity good. They used to make tons of money. Now they compete until everyone's net profit equals zero. So if you're the CEO of Zillow and you're the CEO of Redfin, you're like, shit, I need to go build some competitive advantage over my competitors. How am I going to do that? You know what they all did? They all looked at our industry. They all looked at the real estate investor industry because like right now in America, 10 to 20% of homes in any market are purchased by real estate investors. Like that's interesting. No one owns that segment. Let's go after that segment. So what do you get? You get Zillow offers. You get Redfin offers. You got Open Door. You got all the iBuyers coming in, understanding theoretically that if we can own that market segment, we'll have a defensible competitive advantage that will allow us to keep our stock price up and keep us from hitting net zero profitability over the long run. So that's why they all came in the last couple of years. They all came in because they're like, I need to get into whoever owns 10 or 20% that no one owns yet, right? And they got their asses kicked. So Q4 last year, Zillow lost $2 billion in one quarter.
Jesus Christ.
Right? OfferPad is on life support. You look at Sunday raised 200 million, I think, about 200 million. They're on life support. Their investors aren't giving them any more money. They blew $200 million trying to get, that was the most direct competitor against wholesalers. They publicly went out and said wholesalers are scam artists, and they spent millions of dollars getting Dr. Phil to go run marketing for them. And they went after the wholesaler. And I remember seeing them do this, and people were like, are you scared of these guys? Like they got 200 million. They're directly coming after wholesalers. I'm like, I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about it because they don't understand the game. They're going to blow through that capital so fast. And that's exactly what they did. They're out of money, right? All these guys are out of money or took multi-billion-dollar losses trying to come into our industry. So I think what's going to happen is you're going to see the first mega wholesalers that are the guys that understand the operations. Okay, people are going to compete on operations, right? You're going to have better and better tech, like Batches, like kind of owning the acquisition side of things. There's a few other companies coming in too. PropStream is kind of like the OG. You got Privy coming in, a few companies like that. So there's a lot of good tech on the acquisition side. We're trying to build up the disposition side, and the good operators are going to take the best tech on both sides. They're going to get to 100 million, and then they're going to sell to Zillow or Redfin. Like that would be my move. If I was owning a wholesaling company, I'm like, I got to get big enough as fast as I can to go sell to one of these bigger guys, because they're going to want to get back into our segment, and they're all embarrassed. They're all embarrassed at how miserably they failed. They're competing against us. They look at us and we're like these freaking cockroaches, right? Freaking
Right.
cockroach little wholesalers, like driving around in our trucks, are kicking their asses.
Right.
And they thought they could come in with all their tech and kick our asses. No. Like InvestorLift is an army of us like cockroach wholesalers that are doing more than all of them combined.
Right.
So that's where things are heading. These big guys are going to try to get in. And if I was running a wholesaling operation, I'd be like, let me get as big as fast as I can, really dial in the operations, get all the best tech, and then position myself for an exit to one of these big guys later on, and then make them really pay for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, I like it, man. It sounds like something that's almost inevitable at the pace that wholesaling has. And
Oh, Ed, I'm losing your audio there. I just lost you there. Oh, there you go.
Can you hear me? You can't hear
Yeah.
me? Oh yeah, my little mic has a shortage in it sometimes. But yeah, I was saying that, it seems inevitable that it will be a time where we do have these mega wholesaling companies, at which time they can be sold off to even bigger brands. But speaking of mega wholesaling companies, I'm really curious. This is something that I've had several people ask me this over time and whatnot, and I'm sure just people in general are curious about it. Like for like the mega wholesalers that are out there, right? That maybe aren't using InvestorLift yet. Like how does someone get onto that cartel level of InvestorLift? I know y'all got the pro. I think you said that everybody has to start at pro, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But I'm real curious, like how do the big boys actually take advantage of the big boy package of it, InvestorLift? How does that happen?
Yeah, so the big boy package, like we kept that capped at 50.
Okay.
The reason being is like the original like 50 guys that came in and they all brought in their data to build the buyers list. Right. So I didn't build the buyers list up to a couple million or whatever he hit. I just went to these guys. I'm like, hey, you guys all bring in your buyers, and then we'll build the tech to like manage it all. And you all will be in this like buyer cartel where you all have access to each other's lists. I'll basically handle the tech. They're like, hey, but if we do that, are you going to take all your data and go sell it to 1 million people? I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. I just need to like, so they're like, okay, agree with us that you'll keep it capped at 50. I said, okay, I'll agree to that. And I'm a man of my word. So I said, I'm going to keep it capped at 50.
Okay.
I kept it capped at 50. So that is sold out.
It's sold out, y'all.
Don't stress about it, because plans aren't going to matter pretty soon. We're getting rid of all plans. Where we're going is we're introducing freemium, and what we're going to be starting to do is the system will start basically figuring out how good of a wholesaler you are. And we see that you're a good wholesaler. Like and the way we measure that is, are your deals getting good engagement from buyers? We look at those interaction rates. If you're a good wholesaler, we're going to start inviting you to have access to more and more data. So instead of just having these arbitrary jumps where like 6,000 you get God mode, $36,000 a year you get lieutenant, which gives you about 1.5 million buyers, and then cartel boss you get the full 4.6. What we're going to be doing is progressively giving you data just for the deal you're trying to sell, because you don't need data in other places. You just need data for the deal you want to sell. And if it looks good, we're going to be like, hey, do you want like a little bit extra help here? Like, it looks like your deal's getting some traction. You want to like really boost it up? And it'll be more kind of like as a pay-as-you-go consumption-based model. And when you come on, you're not going to have to worry about like, which plan do I get on? Or like, do I need to make a $50,000 investment? No, you just start out free, post your deals. If your deals are good, we're going to invite you to have access to more data that will make you more money. And then we'll make a little bit of that as well, right? We're not a charity. We're a business. We got to make some money. So, we'll charge you a little bit, but like your costs will go up as your revenue goes up. Your costs will go down as you're doing less deals. So it's more flexible too for users. So that'll be the future. If you're on a plan, we'll grandfather you in. But then like pretty soon, possibly by the end of the year, I think probably by the end of the year, there just won't be plans on InvestorLift anymore.
Look at that, man. Look at that. You say changing the game out here, man, making things more affordable. That's very, very interesting, though. I really, really like that. So basically it'll be more kind of merit based, if you will, or like quality deal based, in terms of like, your deals getting pushed in the algorithm and things of that nature. I would assume that that's kind of similar to what these other platforms like a Zillow or Realtor.com and things like that would probably do as well, right? It's got like the hottest properties or something like that. Does it work like that?
Yeah, like the reason why we're moving more towards a consumption model too is like we saw what happened like Q4, Q1, where like all the noobs got knocked out. So like that took half of our new, like our high end user base stable as hell. Like no one's
Right.
leaving those high end plans, but the beginner plans like half of those guys left because they're out of business. They're not even wholesaling anymore. They're going back to 9 to 5.
Right.
So we have more money. We're making more revenue today than we were this time last year, but we're doing that with less users actually. And I think that trend is going to keep on accelerating over the next few years, where there'll be more and more of the mega wholesalers and less of the newbie wholesalers. So the way I look at that is I'm like, okay, so we basically got to find a way to like make more money with less users.
Right.
So we're just going to shifting to the consumption-based model. It's like, okay, you're going to pay us more money as you make more money. So it's more like a partnership kind of thing. It's like, we're going to help you grow. We're going to give you data to help you grow. And you're going to pay us more money as we help you make more money. Fair trade-off, right?
Boom. Yeah. That makes sense. I like it, man. I like it. I'm really, really curious to hear or like to see what that actually looks like as well. Like as you all start to develop that out. I'm sure that there will be a video on the channel coming soon once that drops. Just be on the lookout for it, y'all. That's very interesting. Okay, so Robert, I got a few more questions for you. I want to kind of rapid fire some of these off because I know we got limited time. I know you're a busy man out here, so I don't want to use up all your time. So I got another question for you. So for teams that are currently doing, let's say, like 2 to 3 deals a month, what would be your best advice for them to get up to, let's say, 5-10 deals a month, or let's put like a revenue number on it. Let's say like 100K a month. You say like, if you could do 100, then it should just boom, 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 boom to get up to 1 million. I'm curious if someone's kind of getting started, but like they're getting some deals, just not a crazy amount. And they wanted to get up to, 100K a month or doing 5-10 consistent deals a month. What would your best advice be for someone like that?
Yeah, the first thing you need to do is you need to get more leads, right? And not just any type of leads. You want to get inbound leads. So there's outbound marketing where we're going to people and we're trying to like be like, hey, you want to sell your house? Hey, you want to sell your house? Hey, do you want to sell your house? Cold calling, text, things like that. We're interrupting people and try to just like hit a large number of people and get lucky and find that one that wants to sell to us.
Right.
So that's very, very difficult way to market. The easiest way to market is to just run digital ads on, like if I can run Google ads on keywords like how to sell an inherited home fast for cash, and I pay $30 for a click off that, and 1 in 10 people submit their information, I can get a super high intent lead for $300. Now, $300 might sound like a lot of money for one phone call or one form submission, but on a high intent keyword like that, for sure, even if I'm a horrible closer, I'm going to close at least 1 in 10 of those and get an actual property under contract. So I'm getting the deal for $3,000. And, off of InvestorLift, the average assignment fees are like $14,000, $15,000 nationwide. On InvestorLift, on a typical month, we're in the low 30s. Okay, so if you have InvestorLift, you should be making at least 30 grand. So I get the deal for $3,000. I sell it for 30. I've 10x my money. I've done that in less than 2 months. That is an incredible business. The best hedge fund managers in the world, guys like Ray Dalio, on their best years are going to make 15, 20%. And you can't even give them your money. They won't even take it. Unless you have $100 million, they're not even going to touch you.
Right.
Us as wholesalers, we can get 10,000% in 60 days, right? So, 1,000%. I got a Harvard degree. Obviously, I'm really good at math, right?
Hey, close enough.
You get 1,000x your money, 10x your money, right? 10x your money over 60 days. You just keep on rolling more into marketing. It's incredible what you can do, but you have to switch to digital. Like you got to get those inbound leads. That's the pivotal moment in most wholesaling businesses where they go from struggling and grinding and hustling to actually having success. So just go to the companies. You don't have to learn Google Ads right away. Stage one is go to the companies that sell leads. Like 0 to 100K, just buy the leads. Right?
Okay.
You can get, my favorite right now is Leadzillo. Shout out to Drew. Okay.
Hey.
Tell him you're coming from InvestorLift, and he will hook you up with the best pricing and the best leads. So Leadzillo is probably my favorite. Another one that's been around for a long time is I Speak to Lead. There's Need to Sell Your House Fast. There's a bunch of these different lead providers where you just pay, like Leadzillo is $150 a lead right now. The prices are going to go up, but right now you can get them, and they just come off of YouTube videos, and they're bangers. And guys like RJ Bates, I said, what's your close rate? He said 1 in 8. I'm closing 1 in 8. So like, you want to get a deal a day, all you got to do is buy 8 of those per day, and if you know how to close, you're going to get a deal a day. So that's like the biggest thing you do. Just buy freaking Google Ads leads, and then really get your closes dialed in. Okay. If you're buying those leads and you're not closing 1 in 10, you suck at sales. Okay. On those ad sources, if you get 10 leads, you should be closing 1 of those deals. So if you're like having to buy 30 to get 1 deal, just understand and be real with yourself that you suck at sales, and you either need to get better. You have 2 options: get better at sales, or hire someone else to do the selling for you. Okay. And there's a lot of people that are in denial that the fact that they suck on the phones. Okay. But we'll see in the numbers. If you buy 30 leads and you only get 1 deal, guess what? You suck. Okay. For sales training right now, I like Eric Klein's content. He's got a couple innovations there. He does like, you just check out his stuff. He's done it. He came from another industry where he built a company to 100 million. A sales company. I think he had over 100 agents on his team at peak.
Nice.
And then that company actually got sued, and they ended up going to 0 because of a lawsuit. He had to start fresh. But he started fresh in our space, and he took all the innovations that he was doing in the sales processes there and translated them over and brought this whole fresh sales process that I think is one of the best that I've ever seen. So step 1, get Google Ads leads. Step 2, learn how to close. Check out Eric Klein's stuff if your numbers suck. And then that's all you got to do. That's all you got to do to get 100K. Like I got 2-man shops that are doing 250,000 plus a month.
Look at that.
You can do 250 on your own if you're in the right markets. The last thing is you could do all of that, but still not have good numbers. And if you still don't have good numbers, it's because you're in the wrong markets. So you want to, if you're in your city, Google the name of your city plus average sale price. If it's less than $200,000, you need to go to a different market, right? You can't get to 100K a month as a one-man shop in Baltimore. It would be too difficult because you're only making like $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 per assignment.
Right.
The price points are too small. You can't squeeze a $40,000 assignment fee out of a $60,000 house. It's just not possible. Right. You can do that. If I got a $40,000 assignment in California, I'd be disappointed. I'd be like, damn, like that was a little low. I should be getting at least 60. So just pitching the market, like we should be doing everything over the phone. We shouldn't be ever going out to looking at houses. You don't need to do that. You can do everything over the phone. Going out on the appointments actually is going to hurt you. It's going to suck up your time because in the time you're spending driving and doing all that, I can call 100 people in the same amount of time it takes you to go on one appointment. Maybe not 100, but I could probably get through 25 to 50 calls in the time the average person goes on an appointment. So do everything virtual. Pick the right markets. I like markets with like average sale price of between 250,000 and $500,000, because then we're going to be getting assignments that are 25,000 to 50,000. And if your assignment fees are less than 25,000, like it's like, yeah, why bother? Like I'm not excited about making 14 grand on a deal. It's not worth it for all the work you have to do. We provide a really valuable service, and we solve a lot of really big problems, like the amount of title issues and shit we got to clear, the amount of like crazy sellers we have to deal with, the amount of like buyers that try to circumvent, and like all this shit and stress we have to go through on a deal. It's not worth it to make 5, 10, 15 grand. We should be making at least 25,000 per deal for the amount of blood, sweat, and tears we put into every deal. So
Preach.
just shift your markets to where the sales prices can support a $25,000 to $50,000 average assignment fee. Get out of texting and cold calling and start buying ads, and then make sure you're closing 1 in 10 of those ads. And getting 100K is easy. Anyone can do it. Anyone can do it month. Like you could do it like month 2 or 3. Eric Klein did it. I think his 3rd month ever wholesaling, he broke 100,000.
Just like that, man. I hope that y'all over here taking notes, because Robert is dropping gems. Y'all better have your bags ready, because he's dropping gems over here. Seriously, I really, really love that advice, though. And like you say, like, you got to make sure that those average deal spreads are bigger, and only certain markets are going to allow that. And like, I just got to salute you when you say that, like, we're doing so much stuff. And, this is something that me and my team, we have to take on as well, where it's like, we can't just do these small deals. We don't want to be out here getting snack food or appetizer money on wholesale deals when we've bust our ass, basically. So that's kind of like a minimum threshold that we're looking for, as well as about $25,000 to $50,000 per deal. So I really, really love that advice, because some of these deals can be very, very painstaking, and if you're not baking in enough spread on those deals, it almost feels like you're wasting your time. Like, you might as well just get into something else. Seriously.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's actually that's really, really interesting, though, because there's another question I wanted to ask you. This actually is a question from a subscriber on the YouTube channel.
All
Rodney Dixon wanted to know, and I think that this was his question. I could be wrong in terms of how he worded it. It was kind of weird wording, but I'm rewording it for him, and basically asking, because we're talking about like markets, so it's a perfect question. What would you say are the best markets to invest in? Like, if you could recommend a market or some markets that are kind of hitting right now, what would you recommend?
Yeah, so it's not like one specific city. Like, if you were like think that like, oh, if I find the one right market, like that's going to change everything. Our big companies are like constantly changing their markets. They're constantly popping in and out of markets, and always have multiple markets, right? Like, if you're just in one, you're exposing your business to too much risk, right? It's like if you won the lottery and you got $100 million, you went to a financial advisor, you say, can you put this all in Tesla? Even if Tesla is the greatest company in the world, they're going to say you're crazy.
Right.
If Tesla takes a 50% dip, you take a 50% dip. It's the same thing with markets. When people are all in on one market, you're exposed to all the market risk of that market. As the market goes up, everything's great. Everyone's buying new cars, new houses, popping champagne bottles. When the market goes down, everyone's really feeling it, and things are really tough. So you want to have multiple markets to diversify out your risk. And you don't want to go full nationwide, but like I like having like half a dozen to a dozen markets is really pretty good.
Okay.
Now, people get into analysis paralysis, though, when they start choosing markets. Okay. All that really matters is, does it have an average sale price of $250,000 to $500,000? And then if you want to really, really be safe, make sure that the county has at least 500,000 people living in it. We've seen a lot of data off of selling billions of dollars of homes that after about 500,000 population, that's when the deals really start selling fast. There's a lot of demand for off-market deals. If you're out in a small city with 25,000 people, like you're just like, there's no point. Like, go home.
Right.
Like, wholesaling in small towns, like that was the number one reason why wholesalers went out of business last year, was because they're doing too much rural. We tracked it across every company that left InvestorLift, and doing rural markets was the number one wholesaling business deal killer of 2022. Okay. This year it's novations. Novations are the number one this year. People go too heavy on novations. It screws up their cash conversion cycles, and they don't understand the impact of novations on their cash conversion cycles, and how stretching out the cash conversion cycles, like literally more than halves their cash flows, even if they're making double on the assignment fee. People just don't get it. That's a whole other conversation we could have. But back to markets, like 500,000 plus population, average sale price between 250 to 500,000. Any city that meets that criteria is going to be a great, phenomenal market for you to go into. And then what you got to do is just test them, right? Because you could have those criteria, but have 1 million people in that market, and the cost per lead is $1,000. So even though
right.
like the macroeconomic is good, the microeconomic of like too many players is there. So you just have to test them and see what happens. Like it doesn't matter how great it looks on paper. You just have to test it, because there's all these other factors, like what your competitors are bidding, how many competitors you have. There's a million different factors. So all you got to do is just find some that meet that criteria, test them, take the losers, kill them off, and then take your budget from those and then layer them onto the winners, double down on the winners, and just keep on doing that, cycling more, taking the winners, doubling down on them, killing off the losers, and just don't be fixated on one market, right? Eventually you get a few money makers that are just like, you dominate those, and those are your bread and butter, and they make like half of your freaking money each month. But you got to just test a bunch. My favorite zone right now is going to be DC, from DC down to Florida, any major metros there, and then plus Texas. Like that's where most money is made. That's I think over 70% of the money made by wholesalers is like Texas plus DC south to Florida.
Okay.
Go down here, don't go up here.
That makes a lot of sense, though. That does make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
You know, when you start going to the West Coast and stuff like that, and you got these super expensive properties, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure that Rodney will appreciate that. Like I said, this is gems. These are gems out here that that Robert's dropping on us. So I'm not gonna hold you up for too much longer, Robert. I know that we got to be getting up out of here soon. So I just got a couple more questions for you, and I guess one of them actually is actually hold on. No, we're gonna pass on that. All right, so I got one more question for you from my guy Najee Wyatt, my guy right here. And you can just give me the cliff notes on this one, because it sounds like this can get long. So just give me the cliff notes on this. He says, I've got $1,000 and big dreams. I want to be a millionaire. What advice would you give to me?
First of all, don't spend $1,000.
Okay.
Because like you can't really do much with $1,000. Here's what you got to do. Do exactly what I did. Pick up the phone. Here's what you got to do first. Go and search on Google house buying or house selling companies in your city. Okay. Make a list of all the house flipping and wholesaling companies in your city. Okay. Then take the names of those plus CEO plus LinkedIn, and find those CEOs on LinkedIn, and then message them, try to find their phone numbers, whatever, contact all those CEOs and pitch them on hiring you to work on their team. Okay. Right now, you probably, you're not capital rich, but you're probably also, if you're just getting started, you don't have a shit ton of intellectual experience capital. Right. And you got to build that first, right? You got to build that first. So just find someone in this space, preferably a wholesaling business, because wholesaling is the first thing you want to learn. Find a wholesaler that's willing to take a flyer on you and bring you onto their company. And then I would go work for them for 2 or 3 years. I did 3 years at Express Home Buyers before I ever tried to do deals on my own. Work for them for 3 years. You'll learn the entire business. And guess what? If you really focus on learning in those 3 years, it will be the first and last job you ever have. And then go do it on your own.
Look at that, man. Hey, that's amazing advice right there. And it's actually advice that Robert himself took. Like, that's how he got started out here. He literally reached out to companies, got together with the Express Home Buyers, and then worked for them for 3 years. I mean, so I think that's great advice. The best way to get out here and do it is you got to start from somewhere. Oh, my dog's going crazy. You got to start from somewhere, though, and actually getting into the mix of, doing the actual job. I think that's some of the best advice that you could have in terms of actually building up that company, becoming a millionaire. Okay. Absolutely. All right. Great advice, Robert, man. I really appreciate you coming on today. I truly mean that. And guys, like, I want y'all to know, man, look, if y'all interested in grabbing InvestorLift, look, for the time being, at least. Apparently, freemium is coming, y'all. So,
it should hopefully be live by the time you
right.
watch this.
We shall see. But if you guys are interested in checking out InvestorLift for yourself, check out lift.page/Hayes down below. Y'all see it on the bottom of the screen right there. Check that out for yourself. Grab InvestorLift. Robert, the last question that I want to leave you all with, this is the same question I ask every single person that's ever been on my podcast, the same question. And you may have answered it already or whatever, because I know I'm giving you similar questions or whatever, but what's the best advice that you have for someone that's just getting started in the wholesaling space?
The best advice. You're not going to figure out how to do it on your own. Okay. Like, there's tens of thousands of people that come into real estate every year with hopes and dreams of making millions in real estate. And the failure rate, I know for a fact, is over 99%. The 1% that do succeed because they find someone else that already has the roadmap to do what they want to do. And then they just copy and paste that. Okay. So you're not going to, it's way too expensive to figure out how to do it on your own. So you either need to get coaching from someone. If you have money, you can just get coaching. Or if you don't have money, like we just talked about, just go find someone and work for them. So that's my best advice. Don't jump straight in with no experience, with no one guiding you. You're going to waste so much money, rack up all your credit cards on stupid shit that you buy that you think you need that you don't even actually need. You don't need very much to get started. So just like get coaching from someone that actually has success. And by the way, the best way to pick a coach is ask them, hey, how much did you earn in assignment fees last month? And ask them to share the HUDs. Right. The real coaches will be happy to share their HUDs with you. Okay. If they won't do that, do not sign up for coaching with them. Period. They should be able to prove their income, because there's no point in learning from someone that's not actually a practitioner.
Okay? I totally agree.
And if you don't have the money to do that, just go work for someone for a few years and you'll learn just as much and you'll be earning money while you're doing that. So that's my best advice. I didn't have money when I started, so I had to go work for someone else. But if I went in and I did have a bunch of money, I'd probably just get partnered up with a really good coach that had a proven track record of success. So hopefully that advice is helpful. And yeah, it can add some value to getting you started in real estate investing.
Hey, now I'm sure that's going to be some great helpful advice. It's not going to happen overnight. And a lot of people, you know, you watch the videos on YouTube and Instagram, it's like, man, you want to earn an extra 5 to 10K per month? Like just overnight, everybody's like, hell yeah, I'm broke as hell, you know? So a lot of people see that and think that it's just going to be magical. It's going to be overnight. I love that advice. I really, really, really do appreciate you coming on here, Robert. Seriously, like you dropped a ton of gems. I genuinely mean that or whatever. Like watch this one over, guys. Make sure that y'all bookmark this session. This is really, really a good one. Like I actually got a ton of value from this. So I truly, truly appreciate you and your time and the team in the background getting everything going for us and everything like that. I do appreciate it. So Robert, like basically before we wrap this thing up, do you have any final thoughts, anything else that you want to let the community know before we wrap this thing up?
Yeah. If you're watching this, Freemium should be open. If it's not, we'll probably give you that link will probably take you to where you can register for Freemium. So if you're doing any deals at all, make sure to jump on that and then get to pro as fast as you can. Plans will be going away pretty soon. So what is offered on those plans right now is about to get much more expensive. So if you're already doing deals and you jump on freemium and you're like, hey, this is pretty cool, I'm getting some value out of it. If you're getting value on it, try to get onto the pro level, that first level as quick as you can, because it's going to go away. And once it goes away, it's going to get a lot more expensive. So for anyone moving deals, definitely do that. If you have any questions about InvestorLift, how to get rolling with InvestorLift, feel free to email us, our support team at support@investorlift.com. Our team is watching that all day long. They can answer any questions you have. And then the other thing too is if you do jump on InvestorLift, one of the great resources that we have is office hours every Friday. On those Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we bring on the best, highest performing real estate investors in the world to teach everyone how to do different things. So if you're watching this, you end up joining InvestorLift, beyond just the software. Like if all you did your first year is just join InvestorLift just to watch those office hours and ask questions from the best people in the industry and make connections and put a name to a face with the best people in the industry, that's going to be an incredible return on investment. So hopefully you guys found value in this. I try not to be too salesy. We were trying to do some information here, but if you want to learn more and actually learn what InvestorLift can do, just email our team. We'll get you guys on a webinar and or get you on a call with our team and show you exactly how it can take your business to the next level.
Boom. Hey, and I could truly vouch for those office hours. I'm sure you've seen me on there on several occasions, Robert. I'll be in there. I know I popped on one that had Tiffany High in there, and that was like earlier this year. And we used a lot of the value that she gave, and it like really made an enormous difference on our business. So like Robert's saying, like, guys, if you all have InvestorLift already and you're not taking advantage of those office hours, I swear you have no idea what you're missing. Like Tiffany High, Steve Trang, like some of the biggest players in the game come onto these after hours, and they give all of the sauce to the InvestorLift community. So make sure that y'all check those out as well. And when y'all head over to InvestorLift, like Robert says, since the plans are going to be going away, look, treat yourself. Don't cheat yourself. Use that code Wholesale Coach VIP. I'll drop it below the video. Make sure y'all use code Wholesale Coach VIP to get 10% off your order if those plans are still there. Like I said, treat yourself. Don't cheat yourself, guys. So, but yeah, I think that's going to be it, though, guys. I do appreciate you all coming through for the live session. We're going to wrap this thing up. Yeah. So until next time, we are out.
Thanks so much, brother. We'll see you next time.